Yo, 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 folks. Hey, it is Shooter. What's up? It is December 8th, Sunday. I think it's about 7:30 Standard Time. So we're somewhat on time. Of course, at the end of the presentation, please do review our disclosures. Decided to roll out a few of our changes coming into the new year. Just want to spend a second and share those with you. Last week, I didn't take any new trades, just cut right to the chase there. Didn't add anything new, mostly because I really don't like it between now and December, as far as Christmas. Volume's just so thin. However, next week, we have quite a number of setups. I actually ended up with about 9 candidates, and there's a couple of them I really like for next week, and we'll get to that in a second. As far as earnings this week, mostly what I'm interested in is Adobe and Broadcom. GME has got a lot of flow, though. I'm going to do everything in my power not to chase that. Wish me luck. I'm probably going to put a couple contracts on regardless there. And Toll Brothers, Monday after the close. That, we want to watch that one at the open. I didn't throw the chart in here, but I think it has a potential to upside. So now something that we're doing a little bit different, and we've written a number of what they call AI prompts. Okay, to screen for different things. And one of the things I'm constantly asking the AI is, hey, how do I improve this? How do I get better? What would be a better way to do this? What would you change? So I'm all over the map there. I'm probably putting in 6, 7, 8 hours a week just asking AI questions and trying to get the modeling in line. And, scaling in risk management is something that I'm focusing on because I think it's an important part. And I'm going to add, it took me about 3 years to get to the position where I could cap my risk as my primary risk management tool. Max 20% of my gain. So I look at that on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, on a month-to-month basis, on a year. So, 2025, if I take out 20% of my 2024 gains, I'm out for the rest of the year. I'm not trading. I'm done. All right. Same case goes for the weekly. Same case goes for the monthly. All right. Because I've learned to recognize when you're wrong too much, the markets are telling you that it's not working. So I think that's an important factor. I wanted to share that again. I'll be more repetitive with that. Now, what we rolled out, what I'm referring to is a technical ranking. Now we are using artificial intelligence to come up with this. A different number of indicators. And it's broader than these 5 that I'm looking at. But for the purposes of fundamental trends, I'm trying to consolidate it so we can come up with a per trade score. And that way it is simpler maybe for you to track. Now, I want to let you know that because of the differential between the different technical tools capable of back testing this with any large scans. So I'm not going to drop 500 stocks in here and come up with a ranking for 500 stocks. Ultimately, right now we're looking at RSI, Fibonacci's, the retracement levels, wave structure, Elliott wave, okay? Volume trends, market sentiment, and momentum. One of the reasons that I think the AI ranking didn't like because of how much the drawdown, and it also is seeing this potentially as a 5-wave down. 50% back using just this leg, this half of it, the C, if we're looking at this as an ABC, all right? An extended ABC or elongated ABC. 50% back is 1024. Now, on a $7.23 stock, that's a 30% move. It's going to pay pretty decent. Okay. I like the February $10 calls and plan to add $12 to $15 calls, March or April. Okay, once it works in our favor. So that it breaks above this little thingy, but just below the 382 at 933. That's where we want to start adding $12 to $15. Okay. Now you also, it's not really a disclaimer, it's more of a reminder. Risk management, I think, is really, really, as I come into the year end, I spend a lot of time looking at my trades over the prior year. And I like to look and see what I did. Okay. And quite often, what I don't do, I'm lazy with my stops. I'm lazy in managing my risk when I'm in the money. And in 2024, I gave back about 26% of my gain for that reason. Now, we want to get rid of that. So I'm passing that message on to you, and it's going to be all over the place. Max risk is always capped at 50% of the cost of the contract. Notice the period there. Period. Okay. If it takes back, let's say, for example, we get stopped out here at 50%. If we start getting bullish again, you can always build a position back on the breakout. You've done nothing wrong. So there's always another entry. Keep that in mind. So managing risk is really important. All right, let's look at this. Actually, I like it. The only problem I have, nice divergence on this low. Volume was decent, squeezing. So if we don't pop and get above this 165 pretty quick, it's going to be done. So, we're at 123 when I printed this. So I like the February 145 calls. Plan to add 150 calls for March or April once the trade moves in our direction. Now, really the only spot we need to take out is the 382, so about halfway there. And they're a little pricier. I think it was $700 a contract for the 145s. But at the same time, they're good. Again, max stop is capped 50%. I'm going to start repeating that like a lunatic. That's my thought on ALF, but it has a lot more upside than here. And that's just my thought once it comes back. Now, AI. Now, I didn't like the RSI, okay, as much. However, I mean the RSI here, I would rather have confirming low here and a divergent low. We don't get. However, this is a confirmed low, and this is a divergent low. So this is a lower low in price and lower low in RSI. And this is a lower low in price and a lower low in RSI. So it really meets the true formula for me to the upside. 50% back of this flat leg is about $25. We're at $21. So maybe $4.50. I like the April 45 calls. Plan to add $50 calls for April to June once the trade starts working in our favor. And that really is going to be gap. I wouldn't add anything further out until gap gets filled. We back test, put in another low sum. That's my thought. Oh, forgot one thing. Max risk is always capped at 50%. I love me. All right, let's look at fast. Now, I like it, but it might not be done. I have no conviction on my volume candles. Okay, I like this. Whenever you get a running flat to the downside, confirmed low, divergent low, divergent low. So this was our confirmed low. Excuse me. So I would probably put a little less of a position size on this and probably scale more in smaller block. Little piece on, another little piece on, it goes a little bit lower. I don't think it goes below. You can't see it on the chart. 1162 is a prior historic all time. So we're at 1260. Yeah, I don't think it takes out that low. I think it's winning. This is a much better RSI structure than it was over on the 1162. But that's the main reason it's here, is it looks to me like it's pretty much done. Now, it could be a bleeder and keep going. That's why I'm going to, again, suggest manage your risk, smaller position sizes, cap that risk at 50%, period. If you want to take a hit, put a couple contracts on, put your stop loss that takes you out, add some more lower. I'm not opposed to probing, as my old coach used to say, because I do it all the time. Because when I'm unsure about where there's a low and I think we're going to get a decent bounce, and I do think we get a decent bounce here, just with the look of where we flushed and why we flushed, there's always some kind of back test. So worst case scenario, we're going to get back up to $14. Well, $14 on a $12 stock is still not a bad move, still close to a 15% move. So, as far as premium, it will be in your favor. Now, I like the March, mainly because there's no strikes that are outside of January. 1250 calls and plan to add 15 to 1750. So we have $2.50 increments in the strike. Now, if you want to buy common shares on this one, I'm not opposed to that either. I think that's actually a good idea. I do think it comes back. But again, manage your risk, right? So let's jump into Broadcom. Earnings, what was it? Earnings Thursday or Friday, was it? Broadcom. Thursday after the close. That way I was accurate. Wasn't hyper. Okay, now earnings. It's the only reason I like it. So December's calls, maybe the 195 calls. Part of the reason is you want some room there, and the cost of those contracts, if it's going to run, it will head back for this gap about 175. Should be a 50 to 75% gain on that move, mitigating your risk a little bit. You can roll out later in the date if you want to pay the premium. I don't want to pay it. Just be candid with you. So ultimately our swing target's 177.69, which is 50% back. Be candid. I think that's a little aggressive move from here. But if you look at where it's run before, it's not unusual. 135 to what? 168 or 67. So it ran $30 on a push. Now, granted, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know. And I don't remember whether that was earnings or not. Might have been September. Actually, that might have been earnings. That might have been earnings too. Somebody look up. It wouldn't be August and September. Which one was earnings? August or September? Somebody look that up. Send me a text, let me know, or a DM me in chat. But that's ultimately my thought on Broadcom. Of course, you can pick different strikes, but that's my thought. All right, test. I think we're going for all-time highs here. 50% back. Now, just so you see what I've measured, right? I measured this leg. here, here, and backtest. So it's going to be the step up that happens after this flag. I like the December 415 calls only because I don't like paying the premium on Tesla, because I can't tell you with how many times Tesla has worked. There's probably a third of the time that it hasn't worked. And when you go too far out in time, it is very expensive to take a hit. So I like staying tight and close on the strikes. So when I drafted this up, and I don't know why my price was not updating on the chart. We were at 394 when I was looking at it. I could not get it to update. So I don't know if they were doing an update or whatever and not giving me data, but just mind that in your thought. So again, we're looking for a swing target about 369. All I'm doing is really looking for 408 to 414. I'm going to take it and run. That pretty much is my thought here. And again, max risk, cap it at 50%. Is what I. Well, great trading, folks. That's what I have for this week. Until next time.